Welcome to the Learning Section we have at the beginning of every one of these Hatecast. This episode is very hard to explain, but let me go ahead and try to. So in this episode, much like the previous discussions that we've had in previous episode about Jamie's belief system, right? We've talked about Jamie's political belief system. We've talked about Jamie's, I don't know what it would be, spirituality, I guess, because he talks about how he uses the occult to navigate through life. And he goes by occult rules, and he uses dark magic and all that stuff. Well, apparently we have a token Zen monk. Yes, that's the reason why we told him he literally has to shave his head to work here. But yeah, he believes in chakras, the mind's eye, meditation. He's a big, firm believer in clearing the mind, which, by the way, is the take-home message. It's a very, very good thing to learn how to do, which, by the way, you can learn about in this episode. But I did want to kind of warn people, because I know people are going to get triggered if they don't believe in what he believes in, and I'm just saying relax. It's his personal belief system. But it does have some knowledge nuggets in there, because he was a psych major. He actually has some very solid advice on how to go about getting into meditation, about how to clear your mind, about how to de-stress, and all that jazz. It gets kind of, like a therapy session. But I think that it benefits a lot of people. So, and it's kind of poetic, because the next guest that I'm having on is Jim Breakwood, which has been a very big proponent of positive mental health. So, with that being said, very, very good episode. Kind of weird for us, but we are definitely proud to have it on this YouTube channel. But with that being said, we'll get over to the business side of things, and I will not keep you for much longer. So, and yes, that white balance issue that you just saw is my actual skin color, and it is also me looking at a cheat sheet that I have for myself, and I am not trying to remember this stuff right now and drag it out so that I can grasp this myself. Okay, so we have a reward system that we just implemented over at www.chaosandpain.com. This is for everybody who decides that we are actually worthy enough to earn their dollars. So for every, let's see here, every $1 you spend, you earn 1 point. Okay? For every 100 points, you get $10. Okay? This will eventually mean those of you who spend, who buy pre-workout, and then they buy they take advantage of BOGOs, and then they buy protein powder, and then they buy maybe some coffee. It's already that's already getting close to 100 points, depending on what sale is going on. That's $10 worth of free product that you don't have to use a code for. You don't have to do anything for. It's just part of the built-in reward system that we just launched. Really, really excited about this myself, just because it's going to give so many people a incentive to, first of all, try and use our products. But it also gives people who take a lot of supplements kind of a break, and that's our way of kind of giving back to you guys who do decide to spend money with us. But points accumulate, balance is shown in the cart. If you need to know any more about the reward system, I am told that there will be a write-up explaining the reward system over on the blog section of www.chaosandpain.com, so please look forward to that. When it is up, I will include it in this episode so that people can kind of grasp it, because sometimes when I talk, people just go, la 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 la, and they tune out. Just ask my wife. Isn't that right, baby?
Huh? What?
Anyway,
What?
So we also have 27% off of absolutely everything in the store. Shirts, like this one I'm wearing, right? Hats, like the one back there. Protein powder, which is dusty right now. Look, I've been sick. You can tell in the past 2 episodes I've been sick, so give me a break. But we also have Chemical 1 on BOGO. That means buy one Chemical 1, get another one absolutely free. Now, with this long, drawn-out intro section out of the way, it is finally time to enjoy the show. That brought me a little bit more joy than it probably should have. Have fun.
right? They have Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dots?
It's
Yeah.
all like Post. It's all Post. But yeah, like the legit name, like Dippin' Dots chocolate ice cream,
Yeah,
something.
well, they also had Pop-Tarts ice cream. Or, I'm sorry, Pop-Tarts
Yeah.
cereal that came out.
Well, they got more too than that.
Yeah? What are you chomping in on right now?
Eggs and cheese.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're not doing the Pop
No,
Tart cereal. No.
no.
I've already started recording. Welcome to the latest Hatecast. And this was my little joke that I like to play on Ed because he always gives me shit for not seeing Big Trouble in Little China. So,
Yes.
still haven't seen it. So, today the topic of discussion. I know I
Mm-hmm.
pipped right up there. It's amazing.
You did,
Today the
yeah.
topic of discussion is all things psych. So specifically, we were talking about meditation.
Oh yeah,
So I'm gonna get some things together. Why don't you go ahead and get into how
meditation.
meditation has specifically helped you in your life and
Well,
how can people
basically,
go about it?
yeah, like from like strictly, I guess, scientific point of view, what it does is it helps to number one, like shut off your mind and calm it. You know, kind of like a restart button for your computer,
Yeah.
like a hard reboot. Because the whole idea of meditation is just not to think, which is called practicing non-thought, which is a lot harder than it sounds because we're bombarded with different things and thoughts every day.
As your kid, just yeah.
Mm,
Okay. Well,
it's
go
it's
ahead.
the truth.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Something just pops in your head like, oh, I forgot about the groceries. Oh, I need to go pee. Oh, man, I'm tired. Oh, why am I thinking so much? You need to stop thinking. And then it just rabbit holes. So you just stop,
Yeah.
and all you need is like 1 second, just 1 second of non-thought, and you're in essence meditating at that point. And then of course you can get deeper states, and then that's when you start talking about alpha brain waves and theta brain waves, and and we can go into more of that cool stuff too, because there's little tricks and stuff that you can do with the meditation to make it happen to you faster. Because you do have to practice. It's basically I what I consider meditation is weight training for your brain.
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
in essence what it really is, and it's pretty much the best way that you can, train your brain, so to speak. And another big part of it too is just they say, the big term, live in the moment. Well, that's what you try to do when you meditate, and then when you live in the moment, quote, then you can actually take notice and take into your surroundings and actually what is going on. And then that in turn, once you get good at doing that, will teach you in everyday life how to have stronger and better memories about events that happen. And also you're able to pick up on things and you're more familiar with surroundings. You're not just part of the rat race. Instead, you're sitting above the maze kind of contemplating, hmm, why is that guy doing this and why he's doing that? That's very interesting. And then it also helps as far as like attitude, because it's helping to teach balance in your emotions, which is another thing too. So then the next time someone makes a remark about not seeing Big Trouble in Little China, then instead of getting all upset about it, you're like, whoa, I'm getting upset about why am I getting upset about that? You can diagnose it. Oh, it's because Bryce is playing with me. But why does that bother me? Well, that bothers me because uh, he says that he's going to see it and he doesn't do it. Well, then why does that bother you?
The one thing I don't
Well,
follow through on.
yeah, well, then it's not even that. The reason why it bothers you is because it bothers you because Bryce is my friend and I feel like he's not listening to me. Or there's not, he doesn't think my opinion about Big Trouble in Little China is as strong as it is. But you see, that's how it works. So
Okay.
I'm really
Okay.
getting upset because of that, but it's really nothing to get upset about. So then you realize that and you're like, well, wow, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Why am
So,
I getting upset with that?
one thing I will say about meditation, and this came to me in the middle of you speaking. Something that I experienced a while back was I had this moment that was, so we went to this lake that we don't usually go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could just see the calm in the water, and
Mm-hmm.
just everything about that day was as close to perfect as someone could imagine. I mean, I'm a simple guy. I don't need to go out and be baller at a hotel and like, go gambling and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
can simply have like good free fun, you know, go out to the lake or something like that and just kind of chill on the water. Well, that day specifically, I remember you were saying absence of thought. Um, can people go into a active like meditation state whenever they're like almost like at peace? You know?
Yeah, dude. Now you're kind of getting into some next level stuff, and a lot of times what happens is people accidentally kind of like yourself stumble upon something like this, and it happens, and they just, oh, whatever, it happens. It's one of those strange events, and then chalk it up. Um, just, I'll give you a little piece of this. It's kind of funny. We started talking about this again, and then 2 weeks ago, I had another precognition, which was kind of weird. Like,
Okay.
and it's just like, whoa. But then you got to realize that there's nothing special about you or anything. It's not a special power. It's not,
No.
nothing like that. What it is just something's trying to say, like, hey, there's something here. Like, pay attention, listen to the signals, look at the signs, see what's going on. And it's really, really complex. And, you know, but then again, back to what happened to you. Um, there are some people, for example, like Eric Pepin, who is he's more of a scientific spiritualistic guy. I would say like
Right.
he's not wearing robes and stuff or anything like that. He's got the horseshoe, which is awesome. I mean, he's rocking it. He can sit half lotus for hours without an issue, and he can make some kind of crazy stuff happen. Through
Right.
what they refer to as prana, which is just like that invisible energy, kind of like the force that everything has.
Okay.
That's what they call it. So they call that prana. Through prana absorption, through your chakras, the three main chakra points, and then that energy then corresponds with like your, so to speak, your subconscious, whatever you want to say, and then it allows you to do what they would call like miracles or whatever you want to call it. You know, is you're actually working through your subconscious and you're abandoning any kind of attachment.
Right.
So, like, give you examples, like if you, hey, I want to live forever. Some people claim that there's a way that you can do that, but the problem is the attachment for wanting that is so strong that you can't separate from it, and then it doesn't happen.
Right. Right.
Want nothing, get everything, or gain everything. That's a very common, I guess, quote you could say from a lot of people, especially Eric Pepin. He loves to use that as well too.
Yeah.
Now, um, so you had that kind of happen, and one thing that meditation does, and why this possibly kind of like happen, is because of what they call the third eye. So the pineal gland. And if are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with pineal gland. It's the thing
Pineal
that
gland,
releases actually
DMT.
DMT into it produces
Yeah,
it for us. So
yeah.
some would say it's also involved in lucid dreaming.
Oh,
Um,
it definitely is. So
right.
let's just break down from a biological standpoint what is so interesting about the pineal or pineal gland. It rests in between the two hemispheres of the brain, and when it's activated, people claim that you can kind of get this balanced hemisphere because everything is kind of about a balance. You're gonna have your ups in life, you're gonna have your lows in life, but you really just want to kind of stay balanced. So you're gonna have a lot of good things happening, you're gonna have a lot of bad things happening, and when those things happen, you need to try to stay here. So don't get too high because the fall from grace is pretty bad, and don't get too low because then it's hard to get back up there. So bad stuff happens, and whatever. Good stuff, man. This is awesome. I'm very grateful and appreciative to it. Um, what else can I do now to help other people next step or whatever it is, and you bring yourself down? Whereas the opposite would be, oh, my life sucks. This is terrible. Nothing's ever going to get better. The world owes me everything. It's not my fault. And then you're constantly
Right.
there.
My
This one is,
generation.
it, well, we won't. This one is like, oh, did you see what happened? I can't believe it. It's so awesome. I'm going to go to I'm going to go to this awesome amusement park. And then it's closed and you're like, what? You know, like you just crash and then it's like,
I love that that's the reaction. Like we're all 6 years old. I'm gonna go to the music part. Aww.
well, we pretty much are. It's just we're taught to kind of like put up a face and hide it.
Right.
But what they should teach you is how to, instead of mask it, they don't teach you, and this is definitely all across America and most of the world, I would imagine, is instead of teaching you how to mask it and not cry, because always the first thing we say, don't cry in public. Don't. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? What? No, they're gonna think you're a baby. Instead, you should say, why are you crying? What's going on? Why are you feeling this way? Okay, is that a valid reason to feel this way? And then you diagnose and you break it down that way, and then all of a sudden it becomes that these kids are taught how to deal with that. So it's okay if I'm sad, but why am I really sad? And then they break it down and they're like, oh, well, that's kind of a silly reason.
Right.
Then they get over it because it makes logic. Where if your generation, you don't do that, then it's always like everything sucks.
Well, see, it helped me that, and this may be a little too much information, oversharing, whatever, which I am prone to.
Yes.
I've been through quite a bit of actual psychotherapy just because of my younger years and everything. Yeah, shock treatment. No shock treatment, unfortunately, because that would be awesome. Yeah. But they'd be attached to my nipples.
How about a lobotomy right here? Like, Bryce, what's wrong with your dick? Nothing. I'm fine.
Yeah. No, actually, funny story. I had a grandma that went through shock therapy back in the day, but that's another story for another day. That was, by the way, talk about rudimentary science. Like they believe that shocking you would fix all of your problems, including loss, like grief.
Well, yeah, because they thought that because of the magnet from the brain, that if they restarted it, like gave it a shock, well, it doesn't work that way. You have to like turn it off, not give it more.
Yeah.
You're like you don't have like this, generator that's kind of like messing up. You don't just go, hey, I'm gonna throw like 50,000 watts into it, and hopefully that will reset this 10,000 watt generator, and it will work now. No, you're gonna blow it up. Like.
Hey man, it used to work for old TVs. Those things would go out and you just smack.
Well, smacking's different. You're like rearranging the. Yeah, that's different. Yeah, things get out of place.
No, I know what you mean by because that's one thing that therapy didn't help me in the traditional sense. Like therapy didn't. It wasn't life changing. It wasn't life altering. I didn't feel like, oh my God, I need to go to therapy every day. I wasn't one of those people.
No.
But what it did teach me to do, and just like, college taught me, is how to think critically about my problems instead of just critically about life. Because you go to college, they teach you how to critically think about life. You go to therapy, and it teaches you how to critically think about your feelings. And I know this is kind of unmanly to say, but something else I did want to bring up is, the John Wayne characters that we saw in the past? Those were literally guys with PTSD. Like, they were closed off emotionally. They drank to make everything go better. And, that
it was pretty bad.
If you look up the typical John Wayne-esque character, that literally describes somebody with PTSD. And, that was kind of celebrated as someone who's manly and all that.
But dude, that's the complete opposite of what alpha is in the animal kingdom, which is hilarious. Like, the alpha male, or the alpha of the group, because it can be female, especially wolves, because they tend to be really good examples of this with their pack nature. It's always the one that goes last. The alpha always goes last.
Yeah.
We were not taught that. We were taught stand up for what you believe in. What you should be taught is if you're an alpha, it doesn't matter what he says, because it doesn't matter, because you're so strong that his thoughts and opinions aren't going to affect how you feel about yourself. No one does that. It's the complete opposite, and that's actually a beta move. So a lot of people that think they're alpha are actually beta, because they're putting up that front. Like for me, if someone's like, man, go, blah, 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 you're blah, 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 I'll be like, cool because I know I can like kick the damn, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm like, whatever. Like even no matter what this, I'm like, whatever, you know. And I never talk bad to them. I'm just like, I just tell them straight up. They're like basketball is a good example. I beat people all the time. They're like, man, we should play sometime. I'm like, yeah, we should. And they're like, man, I'm gonna take you. I'm like, no, you're not. They're like, dude, you can't do nothing. I'm gonna be raining threes. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm gonna shut you down. And that's all I say. And they keep going on and on. And then they go play. And then all of a sudden, it's, oh my gosh, I can't believe you were that good. And I'm like,
Or, oh man, my knee's acting up today.
no, no, they never, no, no,
No,
Bryce. I
no.
and I'm not like college because I mean,
No,
whatever.
but you
I'm
used to play.
sure.
You were a high school athlete, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah,
like I was the guy that would guard a 6 foot guy. He'd be on the wing. He'd do his little fancy between the legs dribbling, and then he would go to the basket. And as I'm backing up with the shuffle, right when he gets to the backboard, I just jump up and I smack it up against the backboard. And then the guys are always like, and then they never drive on me again afterwards. They either pass the ball or they tried to shoot it, and because
right.
I let him do it. Like if I didn't want him to drive, I wouldn't. I would just get in front of him and gotten down low, and I would have stole the ball from him. But I like blocking people because I used
Yeah,
to be able to jump high. Yeah, so they never say, "Oh my knee," because no, it's more like they get upset because I beat them, or they end up hurting, like almost breaking my nose because they get so mad at the end of the game, like getting beat like 7 games in a row. They just, my teams win. They get so mad they just like end up almost breaking my nose because they're going for the ball, but they're just trying. They're so mad, or they just are like, man, wow, like, yeah, you're all right. I'm like,
but I did want to kind of turn
sorry.
the conversation, but I know we get off track. But I did want to kind of turn so back to meditation and some of its benefits. So there was actually that study with Olympic athletes where they had a portion of them meditate and a portion of them not, or a portion of them actually de-stress in a way, because we think of stress, and it's not necessarily stress, is it?
Mm-mm.
It has to do with more than that, because you can de-stress, you can go do something that gives you joy, but you've still got just, it's like this never-ending
No,
marching band in your head of
it's
problems
it,
that
it,
keeps
it's different.
continuing to,
Yeah,
yeah,
this meditation solves that problem because again, you're teaching your brain how to think and how to recognize the surroundings and basically how to recognize your feelings because and this is something else. I know we've talked about this before that I've got a degree in psychology from the best university in or best college in America, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, established in
right,
1789, second oldest university, only next to Harvard, oldest public university.
of course,
I mean, you get the picture.
yeah,
Uh,
credentials, yeah,
yeah, so credentials. Anyways, um, very interesting. You're going to meet a lot of interesting professors, is all I can say when you
oh yeah,
get a. But anyway, and when I was there, we were still kind of like some of the ones that were in their 40s were still kind of getting out of the 60s and 70s a little bit, and you could tell those are the ones that like they were kind of married but weren't married. You know what I mean? And had a lot of like TAs, female TAs around.
oh no.
Well, dude,
Oh
it's
no, someone's gonna get matued.
that was a long talk, but anyway, so give me dude. Um, Psychology is very young. Okay, it's basically behavioral
So
science,
were
so to
those
speak.
TAs.
So I was younger than them, but hey, hey,
I know I turned everything bad. But
it
it's
was the
okay.
truth, though. It was the truth.
But anyway, so the new age thinking about meditation is everybody should try and include it. But for those who are, because there was that study about Olympic athletes, like I was saying before, that they gave them that, and their performance increased over the period of like 6 months. And
Hmm.
for Olympic athletes to improve their performance, like
That's
you're
hard.
you're chasing
That's a
you're
big deal.
chasing 0.5%,
Point five.
half of a percent better.
You're
Um,
you're talking like a 20th of a second. Like
Right,
you want
right.
that's between like Michael Phelps being dominant is literally like half a second, half
Yeah,
a second.
yeah.
Like
Even though he's
Usain Bolt
Dolphin
was,
Man.
yeah, Usain Bolt was a little different. He just like, well, you're 6'5" with long legs like that. Well, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard things about $200,000 like nutritional protocols, so to speak. You
Nutritional
know,
pro. Oh, okay, nutrition is what had to do with it. It's
yeah.
metabolic chicken.
And so that just helps because with your, you get paid so much, you're making millions of dollars, and like I also know that I've heard of some people, that I've connected with. Definitely, there's some nutritional programs going on for some of these top CrossFit competitors of the past too.
Of course,
So
yeah.
yeah,
But psych-wise, I think that when it comes down to if it helps Olympic athletes, it could very much increase the performance of your everyday gym bro.
dude, your brain controls everything, like everything. If your brainstem is damaged, you're dead because you don't breathe anymore. Stuff you don't think about. So think
I
about that.
did some sort of preparation for this podcast, and I was going deep into like there's studies on non-specific or idiopathic neuropathy, right? And meditation actually helping that. So sometimes
Yes.
what you'll find is there are so think of the you know how people put mental blocks on things? Well,
Yep.
sometimes those mental blocks or those things that you can't get past or emotional problems or stuff like that, they can actually put a little bit of a kink in your performance. Not only in the realm of sports and fitness and everything that this podcast has to do with, but in the realm of everyday quality of life. Like there was this one dude who I was reading about who picked up meditation, couldn't he was diabetic or whatever, which whatever, they have neuropathy anyway, but he couldn't feel the bottom of his foot. Turned out he worked through some stuff and ended up feeling the bottom of his foot again. For whatever reason, that neuropathy wasn't due to the fact he had diabetes, but it was due to the
Yep.
fact that he was dealing with emotional trauma or stress. So,
Yes. That happens a lot. I mean,
yeah.
just if you want to compare it to, or make it easy for someone to really another situation. I mean, I remember in college, one of my girlfriends tricked me, and for a month I thought I didn't know if she was pregnant or not. I just didn't want
Oh, that wasn't my guess.
her. So, anyways, like when
No,
you're in
no, no, no,
college,
no. I'm a chick.
yeah.
I'm a chick. Don't worry.
So when
You
you're in
have an
college,
Adam's apple. It's a joke. Calm down.
that was it was just so funny that I had to give it its like Hangover Part 2 just showed up in my head.
So,
And
what did she
there's,
do to? What did she do to trick you that she was pregnant? Like, how far did the lie go?
well, no, she didn't. Okay, she didn't trick me and say she was pregnant. She tricked me, and there's a possibility that she could have gotten pregnant.
Okay. Explain the situation. I'm still not. I'm not. So she tricked you. So she like, hey, I've heard that if we do it in this position, it doesn't work this way. Oh, let's try it. Or what happened? Joke's on you. Doggy style works too. You're
Okay,
not
so
giving
like,
much context.
okay, how it is? You got cowgirl,
Okay.
and you're just like, yo, it's about that time, and they're like, not this time, and you're like, no. Does that make more sense now?
So she pulled the old Texas cowgirl on you, where she just wraps her legs around. Anyway,
Rodeo style. Yes, yes, you so trouble, man.
You're not getting away this time.
Pretty much. That's exactly the look, and you just come and you go like, what's going on here? Like, it gets really like, and then you're like, no!
So Ed
And
got
then you kind of
Matu'd.
like, yeah, and then, is that what they call it?
Matu'd. Yeah, you got Matu'd. Me too'd. Anyway, I'm trying to.
Oh, yeah! Me
But
too. Yes, I
but
did get me too.
yeah.
Yes, so for
Um.
that affected my performance in the gym because I was away at college and she wasn't
Right.
for like a whole 3 weeks or so until I knew that we were in the clear.
Okay. Well, that stuff happens all the time, though. So, but so you were a psych major. What exactly did you go for? 4 years or what?
Yeah,
4 years.
yeah,
Okay.
full degree, all that good
What
stuff.
made you interested in psychology?
I guess for me, they say psychology is if you're a major, you have something that's a little bit like you have an interest in it for a reason.
Right.
You know, for me, it was more about, I mean, honestly, I really like biology and physiology, but
Right.
I'm not a real big fan of chemistry, you know?
Right.
So for me, and I don't mean like chemistry, like, talking about what, but I mean like, bonding and the mathematical equation side of the
Right.
chemistry. Okay. I don't really like to do that. It's just kind of like, I get it. They bind, they share electrons, covalent bond, I don't want to spend all day doing equations. So I chose psychology because number one, I liked, kind of just I'm social, so I like being around people. Number two, my family definitely. There's always like some people in your family. You're like, wow, I
Right.
wonder why they are there. It's kind of weird, And then also, again, it was just a way to combine biology with a little bit of physiology and also dealing with the brain, basically, which is pretty much interesting. And for me, I kind of took it a little bit beyond a psychology aspect because when you get into higher level psychology, it starts to get very kind of abstract because it is a neuroscience, and
Right.
then it becomes more along the lines of uh, being able to like, well, study design and stuff like that. If you go into, try to get your PhD, and then if you go on the clinical side, you're basically you're a doctor that doesn't have a medical license that can
Right.
prescribe. That's pretty much how. Well, not and you prescribe a lot, maybe not everything, but enough of stuff. So for me, I stopped at that because I didn't want to be a social worker with a master's degree in psychology. That's kind of like where I went
Right.
for school. And then I started looking more in the science as far as, okay, well, yeah, now I see this and this makes me sad. Okay, well, that's pretty much established. But then what's really happening in the brain? Like, your brain is releasing specific chemicals that cause that response. So
Right.
it's a stimuli, whether from one of your senses, your five senses, that is causing chemicals to be released in your body that cause you to act a certain way. Now, that is crazy if you ask me.
Right. And the interesting thing about psychology in the brain is not all of it is chemical based. Some of it is reactionary. So you could have a level of serotonin in your system. So you could have this baseline which is
Mm-hmm.
lower than you
Mm-hmm.
need, or it could be
Mm-hmm.
higher than you need, or you could have, for example, you were talking about the amusement park. Well, some people get really hot, big highs and they get really big lows. We know this is bipolar disorder, right?
Oh, that's it. That's another thing. I guess I could also say another thing that would kind of interest me also to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
My father, my grandfather, my mother's father, was bipolar,
Right.
and he was like, it was serious. And then when he got old, he got Alzheimer's, and it was like he would go places, couldn't find them. Other times he wrote a book about my trip to the World's Fair, like a little 20-page book. In one of
Yeah.
his manic states. It's very
Was it a
interesting
good
how
book?
imbalanced this. There's more pictures.
Right.
Yeah, people
Well,
nowadays probably don't even know what the World's Fair is.
it's definitely a thing, and if you don't know what it was, Google it because it's
Yeah.
referenced in a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But No, it's the human mind has always interested me as well because I don't know if you know anything about like my story or anything or my younger years, right? Because my adult years pretty well now. Like I lost a bunch of weight, had a previous profession, all that stuff. Um, but I was actually adopted, and my mother was a schizophrenic homeless person, and my father was a
That's
homeless
right.
person from Iceland. So there was
That's
something
why
that
you're
was
so
going.
tall. That's why you're so
I
tall.
know it's like it's in my genes, um,
Then you
which
should buy some new jeans. Boom, boom.
aha, but yeah. But it's always something that interests me too because I know that because my mother was schizophrenic, I have a higher chance of getting that. Plus, which by the way, I'm probably not going to get it. It's like I'm old enough now where if it would have developed, if I reach 35 and it's not there, we're good. Um, but it's one of those things where you never know where life is going to take you, and sometimes you see people and their entire lives are actually destroyed by psychological issues, and it all has to do with you know um,
Talking.
people's
Keep talking.
viewpoints of life. You know?
Yes, I'm listening. Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah. By the way, nice house there. I love that bay window or that
Juice.
juice,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man juice. But you'll see
You're
people all
welcome.
the time, and I've always been one of those people that has been curious about what sends people down that hole, how did they get there, and everything like that. Uh, because it's different for everybody, Like my mother was, and this might be a little TMI again, oversharing alert, whatever, but she was 14. She got raped, and she had to marry the guy that she got raped. I have a 46
Ooh.
year old brother, right? Apparently somewhere in the world. And then when she was in her 40s, she had me. So, and at
Huh.
that point, she was already on lithium and all that stuff. So I've been very interested since I was born in like how the human mind works because I've heard stories and stuff. So, but meditation has been one of those things that I've never been able to do. I was just curious about, um, because I've learned, I've kind of picked it up, and it's helped me. And of course, clearing of the mind is always good for me because I'm a chronic worrier. I always had
Mhm.
that going on, and sometimes I'll have certain numbers that I hit in the gym or that I want to hit in the gym, or certain things that I want to do. Life gets in the way, and then I don't have that depressive pattern that people have where they say, well, one thing goes wrong, now everything else must go wrong. It's kind of this circle of life that they do when it comes to
Mhm.
dealing with their problems. But I was kind of curious about your opinions on meditation and all that stuff, so I'm glad we covered that. Plus,
Woohoo.
uh, I did want to ask you as a psych major,
Mhm.
are there any other psych tricks that you can pass on here for the YouTube audience and potentially Apple Podcast or whatever we're getting on next?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of curious about your opinions on like dream boards, which was thing of the
Mhm.
90s, or
Mhm.
positive affirmations,
Mhm.
journals, and the like.
Mhm.
So let's go down those real quickly because I know you've got to
Wow.
go here in a bit.
That's a ton to go. Also, I do have some meditation hacks, but we could save that for our next
Let's save that
podcast
for
if
the
you want to
next
do
one.
that.
Yeah, we'll do
Because
another
there's
one
some
on
really,
psych because I have
yeah,
some more
because,
questions I want to ask you.
oh,
So
yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, all that stuff, um, it, it's gotten really popular again because of The Secret, you know?
right,
Uh, and if you're not familiar with The Secret, it's all about basically law of attraction,
right,
which
right.
is very simple. Like things attract like things, and that's if you always are happy, then you'll get happy stuff. If you're always sad, you'll get sad stuff. That's kind of the principle for it. And yeah, it does work. The question, I guess, is more about how it works, but that's not really for us to kind of know, I guess you could say, in my opinion. Uh, because the whole principle, I mean, is it working because you're just constantly happy because you don't care because you're in that brain? or is it working because there's actually this something else going on that's, drawing something to you in movable parts? Now, Eric Pepin puts it this way. He definitely thinks that there is. Um, I mean, I'll say this point right here, and then we'll talk more specifically about the other stuff. Because for me, what I'm talking about now is a little bit, I guess, more advanced thinking or newer ways of
Right.
thinking, opposed to kind of that old stuff is good. But to me, like someone like myself, where I'm at, I'm like, that's kind of like child's play. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I don't do it because I feel like there's other things that you can do that are much more beneficial and just work better. So
It's kind of like
one of
going
the
from body weight exercises to using a barbell.
yeah,
For those who are
exactly.
way, way out of this conversation already.
Yeah, they're probably like, what is going on here
Yeah.
now? Um, but like, but just so you know that some of the cool things that you can happen are lucid dreaming, precognitive dreams, premonitions, astral projections, a bunch of other stuff like out of body experience things. I mean, you name it. Like all that stuff is possible. Um, I can't do all of it, and some people are predisposed to kind of learn certain things. So, anyways, again, trying to bring this all together. Uh, as far as like the law of attraction, like a dream board and like stuff on there, or positive affirmations and making things positive, it will affect the way it's been clinically proven to affect the way you'll think. But usually that's not enough to get people motivated to do it, because the person's going to be like, well, yeah, it works, but I don't want to do it because I'm fine how I am. I don't. It's not going to solve my problems or whatever.
Right.
Well, when you start thinking that way, positive things will happen to you. And this is how Eric Pepin explains it. Eric Pepin explains it that there's a ton of movable parts going on. So when you get into what what I call the flow, so to speak, the flow
Right.
is synchronicity. A lot of people will call it. Things just happen like right on time out of the blue. Like I'm talking like you hit 5 green lights in a row. You get there like right when you do, and then you're on the way home and you decide to go somewhere, and then you find out that there was an accident down the other road and you took this other detour. Things like that happen. And let me give you another example. Like, let's say people are more like, what about money in my career? Okay. Well, let's say they start doing this stuff, and then a year goes by, and they're like, man, nothing's happened. I'm still stuck in my job. I don't have anything. And then you start probing a little more, and you're like, well, what about your wife? What does she do? Oh, yeah, she works. Well, how's her job? Oh, well, she actually got a promotion 2 months ago. Oh, so you bringing more money? And yeah, we are.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just about you, because that other person's life, what happens to them, is also affecting your life. And that's what Eric Pepin tries to say. And this is, again, the dream boards and law of attraction and positive affirmation and stuff. We're all connected, and it takes time for multiple things to happen. Like for that guy's wife or your wife to get that promotion, then let's say that the company was bought a year before, and then they hired 20 new employees. Well, then they needed a position of someone that was been in the company to oversee those. And it just so happens that the person that was in front of your wife ended up taking another job at another place 2 months before that came open.
Right.
That's how it works, but it takes time because there's so many movable parts and we're all connected.
Yeah.
So by doing the dream board, like you basically, you put things on a board and you're like, this is kind of what I want and what I see, and then you use that for your law of affirmation. And that's another thing with the law of attraction, why it doesn't work for a lot of people, is because it's more about the feeling than it is about the actual like physical thought, because every feeling comes with a thought, and your feelings can betray you more than your thoughts can. So let me give you an example. They say if you want that dream car, then you just think about the dream car and it's going to come into your life and all this stuff. So you're thinking about it, you're thinking about it, you're thinking about it. But number one, you don't know what it's like to drive that car. And if you're not imagining what it's like, how it feels to actually drive that car, then you're not sending out the right signal. Instead, you're sending out a want signal. And a want signal means I don't have it. And so what are you going to keep getting? I don't have stuff.
Yeah.
That's how it works. But people are all, they don't get that. They just think it's simple. And so when you start doing like a dream board and stuff like that, that's one reason why I don't do them. Because if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, and you mean like the dream boards and stuff you're getting, or not dream journaling, correct?
Well, dream journaling is different, and that's
Yeah,
another thing.
I that's
I'm talking about like vision board, dream board, whatever
yes,
they're called, right?
that's what I would thought. That's I just wanted to make sure that's what
Yeah, yeah,
you're okay. So yes, so even if you do see that, you see those visions, you're still kind of telling the universe, so to speak, that you don't have it every day. Whereas if you're sitting there and you're happy and you're content and you have what you need in life and you don't need any more, and then all of a sudden a thing pops in your head, you're like, man, I could use a little bit more money. Nah, I'm good. Then all of a sudden that's a signal from the universe or subconscious, probably your subconscious picking up on something. Next thing you know, you've got like 3 opportunities in the next 2 days to make some extra cash.
yeah.
It's kind of how it works. And then
Now,
also, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I was just wondering, just like you were saying, maybe something that also kind of explains this too is you stop seeing so much negative in the world whenever you're constantly thinking of the positive. Because something that I've noticed is that, I used to, in my early 20s, back before I really started self-examining and doing all that stuff, is I used to think, if something bad would happen, I used to not stop and think, all right, well, really, what's the worst case scenario of this? Like,
Yeah,
is it going to
yeah.
cost me money? Well, you can get more money. Is it going to cost
Hmm.
me time? Oh, well, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And
It's not that much
I've
fun.
kind of, well, hey, there have been a few relationships out there. But
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, if you think of things more positively, if you put a more positive spin, I truly do believe that you see less of the negative. You
Oh,
concentrate on
you
less of the
definitely,
negative.
you definitely do.
So, and you can also find positive things. You can just pull them out of your ass. Like, for example, let's just say you don't get a promotion. Where you're like, well, at least I'm doing this. Like, you kind of rationalize it
Mm.
being good, and that's inherently a good thing.
How
You
about
know,
this? Is you say, "Oh, I didn't get a promotion." You're like, well, good. I don't have to do all that extra work now. I can spend more time with my family.
right?
You know, or like your dog has to have $5,000 surgery to get a sock removed out of his small intestines. Oh, well, at least it's not $10,000, and at least
Right.
he's alive.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I totally do believe in positive affirmation. I'm not quite sold on the making things happen thing.
Hmm.
However, I'm not unwilling because something that unwilling to accept that could happen because whenever I have discredited something in the past, like for example, everybody has a ghost story. Everybody has something hinky that happened to them. Everybody had something like my mother. Whenever her dad died, she felt weird the day that her dad died,
Hmm.
and then she got the call and she was like, "I wonder why I'm feeling weird." We had something
Hmm.
happen just the other day, or when we came back from Austin. Our daughter got into a wreck. Right? We did not know that she got into a wreck, but my wife, completely confused,
Yep.
completely just. I mean, things were giving her anxiety on the way there. I
Hmm.
cannot explain as to why that happened, and that's why I'm willing to believe that anything is possible because
Hmm.
too many people have had those experiences. So I think I'm going to start asking guests what their experiences are that they can't explain. I think that'd be
We
pretty
should.
cool. But
I mean, so like, well, just something cool for you, because I think we kind of gone over the vision boards and
right, right,
journals and all that stuff. Um, so things that I've done, uh, the precognition, which are dreams that come true, that happens to me a lot. The last one was just something like it wasn't even. It's usually stupid stuff. One time it was about a serious thing about my wife and my son, his little baby, being in a car wreck, but it was a very minor car wreck, you know. But like the other week, it was I was at my buddy's CrossFit gym. He showed up. He didn't in real life, but at the end, um, they were doing this picture of the group, and they were already together. And it was like, "Oh, Ed, go jump in there," you know. And I've never done a group picture there before ever. I know they do them through Facebook and stuff. I mean, through Instagram, social media. And then we get done with the workout Friday. I'm going to talk to my buddy who's the instructor. Next thing I know, I look over and they're like, it's like, Ed, they're doing a picture. And then it's just like, you get this feeling. Like it's like all the way
Deja
up.
vu. You
Get
know,
that feeling
hair
all
standing
the way
on the
up.
back of your head. Yeah.
It goes right up the back through your chakras and crown chakra and all that stuff. And so basically, your subconscious saying like, "Hey, what yo?" And I was like, I told him I was like, because he knows a little bit, and he's like, he's accepting of it, but he's also a little bit more religious, and he uses that because it just gives him comfort. It's easier not to worry than it's easier to believe than not to worry, or not. You know what I mean? Basically,
Right.
Yeah. So. Anyways, then I told him, I was like, dude, I saw this 2 nights ago in a dream. And I really haven't been remembering my dreams much lately, but I remember that one. I mean, one happened, like you said before, my friend passed away, and on the day he passed away, I had a dream about that day and the experiences and stuff that happened, and, you name it. And then another cool thing I did one time was that I don't know if I've told you this or not, but I channeled a spirit before. Kind of almost twice. The first one was weird. I was prior job. I was in the vitamin shop visiting, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, wow. I just don't. What happened here? I kept talking to I was like, there's this weird, like, what is going on? Like, there's something's not right here, and it's weird because like. It's not like what people think. Like you don't get this thought in your head, and you don't just like hear things. You don't hear like a voice or anything. It's a feeling. It's 100% feeling, and that's how you communicate. And meditation teaches you to think with your feeling. That's another very helpful benefit, and that's why when you meditate, you tend to have more of these experiences, and why they go along with each other.
Right.
So, anyways, I'm like, this is not right. This is weird. And then all of a sudden, there's like a couple of employees look at each other, and they're like. Well, like a week ago, over at the Taco Bell across the street, the guy went there and they were closed. It's like 2:05. And he got really mad. He sped across the street and he hit the tree over there. Car caught in fire and he died. And I'm like,
gotcha. Yeah.
okay. And then another time and then I'll be done. So basically, it's just like it was my friend and his son passed away when his son was 7 months old, rare type of genetic cancer stuff, and went to New Zealand and had some jade. And it's a longer story. We can talk about it later, but basically, I kind of got into a meditative state, cleared my thoughts, and the next thing I know, I was just like, I was guided. I just did it, and I just looked at him, and the words just kind of they flowed. Right. And it wasn't anything like good. It's just like, it's not your fault. He loves you. He'll always be with you.
Yeah.
That was it. And it was just like, wow. You're like,
Yeah.
No. And last thing, this is a cooler one. So I went to this little with my friend. I went to this little like head shop in Charlotte one time, and I'm walking in there because at the time I was kind of like doing some research on pyramids and stuff like that. Because pyramids, they help the energy and stuff, and that's why they think there's a lot of them around and whatever. And they have a lot of the pyramids places like this. So I'm walking around, and then I just put my finger up like this, and I walked by, and I felt something kind of like, static electricity, and it went away, and walked by, and went away, and I went over to the case with like some crystals and stuff in there, and I put my fingers, and I'm like, okay. So then later on, my buddy got some stuff, and we were leaving, and I was talking to one of the sales associates, and I was like, what's with that case over there, man? There's some like weird. I was like, there's that aisle over there. There's like something weird going on, and he was just like, dude, you can feel that? And I was like, it's like, yeah, man, we've had like stuff like fly off the shelves over there and stuff, and all this stuff and everything, and I'm just like.
Yeah.
There you go. That's 3 right there, and I've got like I don't know how many more, Bryce. So there's something
See,
there. I can't explain it, but it's I Eric Pepin has done the best job of scientifically kind of explaining why,
right.
for me, it makes sense. All this stuff happens.
Yeah. And I think we'll close it out on there, man. It's always interesting talking about this stuff, and I think this is going to give us at least 3 or 4 more podcasts in us to discuss all of this, because I'd like to go from how to deal with personal trauma and stuff like that,
Hmm.
because that's a facet of fitness that people do not even pay attention to, the psychology behind it, because you aren't fit body, mind, and soul unless all 3 are in line, and that is something
All
that
3.
that we can kind of cover in other episodes. And if you like this episode, please let us know. Go ahead and comment in the comment section below. If you have any experiences, by the way, with anything hinky that happened to you, let us know in the comment section below too, because always interested to hear these stories. I personally have maybe a couple, but they're, they couldn't be sort of things, and I'm just not sure. Maybe we can unpack those in another
Yeah,
episode.
I
But if
will
you
say
like this video, go ahead.
one thing, and this is the last thing. They all started. I mean, I had stuff happen to me when I was a kid, and I would have like a vivid image in my head, and the next day I would see it somewhere a couple times. Of
Right.
course, you have your feelings and all that stuff and everything, but really didn't start picking up again until after my son was born. And so then I started trying to realize like what's going on here, like why is this happening? And from what I had put together, I think it was because of the amount of love that I felt for my son, like opened up my heart chakra to its like full, capacity, whatever you want to say. And then from there, it's your third eye, just because you have to have them all open, all there's 7 chakras. You got
Right.
to have them all open to flow. And so when it was opened, it's like the next logical step is right here, and then to there,
Well, there's
and then
also
all
that
this kind of
old Buddhist theory of, or Buddhist or Taoism, I forget which one, where it's like if you put out more energy into the world, you're also more susceptible to energy. You ever
That's
heard of that?
that's kind of oh yeah, that's definitely both, because like we can even get more advanced. Like, dude, we can start talking about like energy vampires and
I love this stuff because I know some people are going to be sounding off in the comment section going, "The bullshit, blah, blah, blah." And that's fine. You're free to your opinion. But this is just
yeah.
like a little, this adds a little bit of spice to the Hatecast. And speaking of spice, don't smoke it. Well, go ahead and like this video if you like this video. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you in fact do like all this stuff. And even if you don't, it helps us out. So, with that being said, guys, we'll see ya in the next episode. I'm going to go try and get less caffeinated because I took a scoop of Fearox and I'm feeling it. Peace.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women. That is good.
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. I just been living online, my city don't show me no love and that's fine. Fuck local radio stations, I got more plays than all of these rappers combined. I'm going again, I've been going in, I'm fed up with so many things, I gotta just let it all out. I'm talking about the shit they've been talking about, telling me I should do this, telling me I should do that, telling me things about rap, talking the truth and that stab in my back that will knock me off track. No, too many things have been building, been hard to deal with, I just been drinking. Remember my moves in the past, I'm wondering what was I thinking. Lately I'm living in fear, wondering what if the end is so near. All of this shit going on, the shootings are strong. One shot to the head and I'm gone. I'm losing control but I can't let it go, cause I'm trying to get more. And I've been in the moment, I've been in the zone, and I'm moving alone. I don't pick up the phone when my family call, I've been doing it wrong and I don't know what's happening. Trying to get what I just been imagining, getting close and I just been examining all of the fake shit the game has been packaging.
Power pleases you, Kron. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge.
If you do not listen,
Then the hell with you.
I come from a town where most of the people are so close-minded. They go into school and they work in a job, but they don't even like it. I won't be put in a box. Nobody telling me what I should rock. Nobody telling me what I should drop. Cause I do what I want and just know I don't stop. Recording till 4 in the morning, they snoring. I'm pouring my soul into every story. I'm writing, producing, I mix it, I master. I'm building my craft and I'm not looking back. I've been going doing things I wanna do when I want to. Everybody wanna get a win, but they not do. Everybody wanna copy you, but they not you. Everybody wanna be cool, but they not new. Whoa, look how I go. Gonna be a dentist, I still got the flow. Never gonna lose cause I'm still doing both. Never gonna lose cause I've been on the road. Come to your state and I'm killing the show. Know that I'm young and I still gotta grow. Know that I'm working the most, no I'm never gonna choke. And I'm looking back down on the people below.
I've been keeping real, I've been doing what I feel. I've been out here trying to kill every beat, I know I will. Everything I'm working on